We got some good news right here. As you can see, yeah, a bunch of states are passing election reform laws, and Maricopa County is not being let up on, okay? Just because their audit hasn't seemed to gone anywhere, they just decided, fuck it, we're just going to count all 2.1 million votes over again. It's not going to change anything, okay? But if they can get to the bottom of this, figure out how everything went, it can get stopped from happening again in the future. And if it is a free and fair election, guess what? Every idea that there was something that went wrong, that can finally get put to rest, right? I don't see any problem with this, other than the fact that there's nothing that can be done off of it. But we got 3 little short stories here, and all of them get progressively... I would like to say we're going to crescendo to something great, but you could tell by the thumbnail that we probably aren't. Anyways, let's start with the good stuff first, shall we? Arizona State Senate orders hand recount of 2.1 million ballots from 2020 presidential election. Arizona legislatures have ordered a recount of 2.1 million ballots of the 2020 presidential election, this time to be done by hand. I wonder if this is going to have any effect on the Senate race as well. And even if it doesn't, Mark Kelly's going to be up in 2022 anyways, so... It fucking would be nice. It would just be a nice little side effect of this recount as well. And again, the only way that any of these elections can get overturned, well, they can't get overturned, so there's no way. It would require impeachment and then removal. That's the only way that it would happen. So all this would be is just whoops. The Arizona Senate, which is controlled by Republicans, released a statement confirming their intent to do another audit of the ballots in Maricopa County. Oh, this time it'll actually be an audit and not just a straight recount, or we're going to play hide the machine from Maricopa County, the state's most populous county. Yes, that involves Phoenix and a couple of other cities, but most importantly, the Phoenix and the Phoenix metro area. Arizona State Senate statement released on Thursday says that they will conduct a broad and detailed audit, adding that they will test voting machines, scan ballots, look for IT breaches, and perform a hand count. Good. I don't know why you'd be against this. I do, but if you're for transparency, which I do believe we are around here, there shouldn't be anything to hide now, should there? As thousands of voters continue to call for a thorough audit of the 2020 election in Maricopa County, I am pleased to report we have narrowed it down to a preferred forensic audit team, reads a March 18th statement from State Senator Karen Fann. All right, we're negotiating the final details of the execution of the audit and hope to have an announcement soon. The rest of the article just points out how they've been dodging subpoenas left, right, and center, but now they're going to have to present everything that they have there. They know how many ballots were cast, they know how many were initially counted, so hopefully none of them took a trip to a fire pit in the middle of the desert, but I guess the jig is up. They've almost had 100 days, and finally, Kelly Ward is not letting up, the head of the Arizona GOP. She's going to get her wish, and we're going to see what the fallout of that is. Now, another state that has already passed all of the election reforms that they've done is just waiting on Brian Kemp's desk down there in Georgia. And yeah, they're making sure that Brad Raffensperger's little half-truths and whole lies aren't allowed to circle the globe any longer. And in fact, the next time that Georgians are going to be going to the polls, Georgians, I think it's Georgians sounds better, are going to be going to the poll, they're going to do so after taking proactive measures. And this is probably where Kelly Loeffler is going to be the most effective, okay? If she's going to have a future in politics, it's going to be behind the scenes. It's going to be running an organization like Get Out the Vote, making sure that Republicans have a ground game. Something that Democrats have been kicking the living fuck out of them for generations at this point. The Democratic machine, like it or not, is very smooth. It works extremely well. It gets out there, it pounds the pavement, and we've seen it in the previous election cycle. A lot of those candidates in deep blue districts, when they were campaigning for Republicans, or even if it was the candidates themselves, more often than not, they'd come back with saying, yeah, the most common response is, we've never seen a Republican before. It's nice to know that you guys exist and you aren't as bad, or you aren't anywhere near what we've been told you guys are for all of these years. So I don't think that that's quite the case in Georgia. It might not be that bad. I'm using examples from like Maryland, New Jersey, the upper Northeast. But if they want to take back Georgia, it's going to require getting into Athens, getting into Cobb County, getting into Fulton County, Atlanta. If we are to believe everything is presented to us, that was the case, and it doesn't help. Even if you think that there were some shenanigans that went on, it doesn't hurt to put a ground game together. That's what Loeffler's doing. And just a little side note as well, David Perdue filed all of that paperwork not that long ago, and I guess he's getting scared off by the fact that Herschel Walker might be running, so that's a good thing. I like that, because David Perdue, he is quite the neocon. Anyways, former Georgia Senator Kenny Loeffler, a Republican, no, you don't say, is ramping up the rhetoric around the key role of her new Get Out the Vote drive called Greater Georgia to counter Fair Fight, a voter participation initiative founded by former Democratic congressional representative Patrice O'Neill. Stacy Abrams. Loeffler has warned that if the GOP can't successfully rebuff Abrams' movement, they won't win another seat in the Peach State, regardless of how appealing a candidate they field. Exactly. If you don't have the ground game, if you don't have the registered voters, you're not going to have a chance. You're going to be behind the 8 ball to start with. And there's nothing wrong with putting this together. This should be done at every state level, at every city level. This is the one thing that the Democrats don't sleep on. They are constantly out there. Their messaging is out there. Their candidates are out there. They know who's running. Even if they don't have a chance in a deep red district, you know who the Dems are putting out there. And that is something that finally, Republicans are catching up to. Loeffler said in an interview with the Washington Times that her project is about the reality that if we don't take steps to shore up the state's ability to grow the conservative tent in some way, that the fair fight has grown the liberal tent, it won't matter who runs for office. The numbers will go against us. Exactly. Greater Georgia is looking to engage more communities and, crucially, register more of what it estimates are some 2 million unregistered, right-leaning, voting-age Georgians. That's a great plan. And what's to lose, okay? There's nothing to lose. You get out there, you put your message out there. Here's what the plan is. Here's where the party's going. There is a clear and distinct path forward for the conservative movement under the GOP tent. There is no fight over that. The liberals, they don't know what they're doing with the Democrats right now. Biden doesn't know where he's at. His policy experts are way off in left field, driving people out of their elitist tent. Has a perfect opportunity to keep sweeping up people as more executive orders start coming in, as more overspending from Congress starts showing up. A lot of people are getting disenfranchised. You have an opportunity to capitalize on that, and by all means, do this, okay? Is Kelly Loeffler the right person to be doing this? Well, she is the person doing this, and she's doing it for the Republican side. Thank God she's not running for state senate or for federal senate anymore, because what a disaster she was. But if this is her calling in life, God bless. God bless. And unfortunately, we got to end on a down note, because where did this come from? Why did you broke my heart? You broke my heart. You know, I'm not about to throw Kristi Noem completely out into the trash, because this is but one stumble on an issue that I care about, but at the same time, this one's going to prove to be the most costly and most apparent. Like, what the fuck are we doing over here? Noem stunned supporters by sending back bill that would bar transgender athletes in women's sports. Ugh. Okay. To a lesser extent, she's also signed, or at least put forward, a bill in South Dakota that would ban abortions, specifically on the criteria that the child is going to have Down syndrome. I think that if you know you're going to be giving birth to a fridge mover, you should have the opportunity to raise a kid who's going to have more hairstyle opportunities than just the Mo Howard or the Pete Rose. Maybe a little bit insensitive, but you know what? If you want to have a happy family, if you don't want a dud to drop out, I understand. They're highly costly. Just, you could save yourself on helmet costs alone. Why would you want to ban that? But yeah, this one here, there's really no excuse for this, because she's fairly vocal about her support of everything that populism stands for, and this is not even popular on either side of the aisle. Oh, let's see if we can parse a little bit of logic out of this one. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem has sent back to the legislature a hotly contested bill on transgender athletes, asking lawmakers to change and Oh, for changes and startling those who view the Republican as an ally in their fight to keep biological male out of women's sports. The Republican Noem issued a style and form veto of the House Bill 1217, suggesting 4 changes over the concerns the bill's vague and overly broad language could have significant unintended consequences. I support this legislation and hope that Bill 1217, with the changes I am proposing, becomes law, she said in a statement Friday. Okay, so from the outset of this, the bill's vague and overly broad language. I don't mind if you're requesting people to shore up the verbiage in the language. I don't see anything wrong with that, but her decision to seek revisions came as a surprise after her March 8th tweet saying that she was excited to sign this bill very soon, prompting American Principles Project President Terry Schilling to accuse her of breaking her word on this critical legislation. By standing with Joe Biden and the radical left against protecting women's sports, Noem has irreparably damaged her standing with both her and her own constituents, as well as Americans' nationality, who have been looking forward to her bold leadership. This right here is just a political statement if I've ever read one before. This betrayal will have political consequences. Are you just trying to stir up political consequences? Are you standing in the middle of a parking lot kicking up dust, claiming that it's smoke and looking for the fire? Is that what you're doing here, pal? The proposed changes, including striking a section requiring schools to collect verification forms each year for student athletes on their age, biological sex, and use of performance-enhancing drugs, saying it would create an unworkable administrative burden and remove collegiate athletics from the legislation entirely. Interesting. They're taking out the paperwork. I'm trying to be charitable in this interpretation, and I'll give you the flip side of it as well. They are just going to be going by appearance, I assume. Like if you show up for women's field hockey practice with a Grizzly Adams beard and you're like, hey buddy, what's up? You're going to get shown the door. They just want to cut out all the middleman, all the red tape. But then at the same time, if you have one that's already gone through transition and they're presentable as a female, that presents problems as well, especially if you're going to be venturing into any athletic or physical sports and confrontations. Her approach was guaranteed to make nobody happy, not the ACLU, which has called for her to veto the bill, and not the legislation's supporters, including Save Women's Sports and Alliance Defending Freedom, who accused her of bowing to pressure from the NCAAs and woke corporations. Yeah, that's really what it looks like. I'm trying to be charitable with my interpretation, but at the same time, I see that as her backing out and listening to people who have her ear that doesn't have the best intentions in mind. Unless, of course, she just wants to see all of the athletic records fall in record time. Like, I don't fucking know. This seems like a misstep of cataclysmic proportions. Can it be easily done? Yes. We'll see when the bill re-hits her desk if that verbiage has been revoked. If she has a change of heart, change of mind, that would be wonderful, but this should be a red flag, okay? She's been very good when it comes to the pandemic. She has been very good on many other freedom issues. She had an excellent speech at CPAC that outlined everything that is right about the populist movement. But this right here is a big old black mark, and if it doesn't get rectified in a timely manner, it is tough for this not to be seen as the first crack in the dam. I hope this is just an oversight. Hopefully she's just wanting clarification, but we'll follow this as it happens. With that said, guys, like I said, I wanted to end on an up note. So we're going to end on an up in smoke note. With the next story. With that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.